Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So before I let you enjoy episode 2 of the podcast, I just wanted to say a massive thank you for you guys for bearing with me. I know it's been a while since I uploaded episode 1 and there's been some radio silence. People have been asking and it's finally here. I was lucky enough to be joined by friends SplitScreen and Sammyboiii on a very Star Wars game focused episode, so I won't keep you too long, but I just want to say thank you very much and rest assured that new episodes of the podcast will be coming much more frequently going forward. Anyway, I'll leave you to it. Enjoy. Hello, and welcome back to episode 2 of the podcast, the Star Wars podcast with a name so obvious, I can't believe nobody else picked it. Today, I'm joined by 2 special guests. One of those is returning, and one is a new guest. Split Screen, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Welcome
Good to be here.
to the show, should I say? You've now got a 100% attendance rate.
I intend on keeping that as long as I can.
We'll see. Yeah, hopefully we'll keep that up. And then Sammyboiii, welcome to the podcast as well. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm keen to get stuck into it.
No, my pleasure. Genuinely my pleasure. So, first and foremost, something I want to try and start with the show going forward is asking people what their favorite Star Wars movie is and how they discovered Star Wars. So, Split, let's start with you.
Sure.
Off the rip, favorite movie and how did you discover Star Wars?
Favorite movies, Revenge of the Sith, gotta be. If we're also thinking of like favorite Disney film, I would say it's Rogue One.
Great pick.
How I got into Star Wars, both my parents are massive Star Wars fans, so I just naturally got into it because of them. So earliest memories, like the OG Battlefronts, watching Revenge of the Sith in my living room, and like building Lego Star Wars. So that's my journey in.
I think Lego Star Wars for like the younger generation like us is also always a great into the franchise. So it's kind of
100%.
swamped in Lego Star Wars myself. And Sally, what about you? Favorite movie and how did you discover the franchise?
It's tough because I've got 2. One of them is Revenge of the Sith, but to be different, I'll say Empire Strikes Back. I think that's the best movie. But I think I kind of obviously we all grew up with the prequels, so Revenge of the Sith has always kind of been my favorite as well. As for how I got into it, pretty similar to Mark, really. Like my dad was not like a diehard Star Wars fan, but he grew up watching them when they came out and stuff. And when I was a youngster, I think it must have been just after Phantom Menace came out, he showed me the original trilogy. So I actually saw the OT first, weirdly. Then I saw the Phantom Menace and then the prequels after that. So pretty much just got into it through him, and I think I just fell in love straight away. Like it was just the perfect franchise for me. And as most people have, like I think when you're young and you grow up with that stuff, it just sticks with you. There's certain franchises that you just get stuck with, and yeah, it's always been number one for me.
I hate to be boring, but my path to it is actually just incredibly similar to both of yours. Just slightly pre-Phantom Menace. My dad basically like walked up to me whilst I was sat on the sofa and was like, these VHS tapes are gold. This is Star Wars. Slapped episode 4 on, and I just thought, and I think for me, episode 4 is my favorite.
Nice.
That initial like journey that Luke just kind of goes on, and that sort of like world of discovery. I think I kind of got really sucked into that as a kid and taken on that journey with him. And I think, for me, episode 4, and then also really like Alec Guinness, Obi-Wan Kenobi, I was fully sold on. Space Wizard was, absolutely sick.
I think episode 4 just has everything, though. That's the thing. It's just like unapologetically Star Wars. It's where it started, so makes sense.
Yeah, it's the nostalgia through the roof on that one as well. Is just I think always takes me back every time I put it on. I feel like I'm that age again. I kind of get lost.
Yeah.
Cool. Right.
Maybe.
On to the meat of today's episode then. So, as everybody's aware, we've got a decent amount of Star Wars gaming news for the first time in a little while. So, buzz in the community. I know you guys are both pretty excited about what's coming. So, first and foremost, let's start with the biggie from the Game Awards, which is Fate of the Old Republic. I watched your reaction to that, Sammy, which was incredibly similar to my own.
Yeah, I went and watched yours after you said that. Yeah.
I couldn't remember that it was called Intergalactic, and I was like, oh, this is the Naughty Dog game. And then at the same time, I just immediately twigged that it couldn't be because they said it was a world premiere, and that game obviously had been...
Yeah, I noticed that because I didn't clock that. I was like, nah, this is definitely... They'll start the show with something big, and it will be Intergalactic. And then you notice that, like, when the ship goes down onto the planet, I'm like... that looks like some Star Wars planets, even though that's, how weird that sounds. Like a planet you can't look like Star Wars, but it did. I was like, hang on. I was trying so hard to not get excited.
Exactly that. I was telling myself it wasn't Star Wars, I think, more than anything. Although the audio cues for me was the main trigger throughout it. Both the sound of the ship and then some of the actual the audio behind it.
Yeah, I was watching Sammy's stream at this point with the reveal, and I was saying to people at work today, actually, like, if I had watched the actual stream with like full audio, I think I would have actually got it fairly quickly, because there's a lot of like, when it's inside the ship and you can just like see the stick, there's a lot of like little pinging and noises and things being sent to you, which are like straight out of Star Wars: The Old Republic and probably KOTOR and just other places in Star Wars, and I would have been like, boom. And it wasn't until I saw the Leviathan, or at least that class of ship, that I was like, oh my god, it's Star Wars. And the whole weekend I was watching reactions to it, and no one else picked up on it being like the Leviathan. I was like, guys, like
I don't know how I didn't.
And people hadn't like. It blew my mind. The amount of people who played KOTOR but didn't pick up on that was like,
when you said that in the chat, I was like, what ship is that? And I googled it, and I saw the pic, and I'm like, how did I not know that? Like, I think when I saw it in the background, I was thinking like, I was getting like Bungie vibes from it. I was getting some random other franchise.
You know, I got
I'm like
Mass Effect.
I kind of got something like that. Yeah.
And I got our hands up. I haven't played the KOTOR games, so it didn't trigger for me at all. My experience with the Old Republic is Star Wars: The Old Republic, the MMO. So when I saw the ship, if anything, I'll be completely honest, seeing that ship threw me off. I thought I'd nailed it with Star Wars, and I was like, "What the f is that?" I thought I was about to see the Mass Effect reveal at that point in my head, and then also had the pleasant surprise of the saber going off, which was just like fantastic.
My god,
I know. So
good.
Initial impression, then we'll start with you, Sammy. I guess again, like all of us, a bit of a shock. Where are you at with it being a CGI only trailer, and at this time an unconfirmed release date? Where's your head at?
It's one of those like hard ones, because like there's the initial excitement, which I see it and I'm like, and I've watched the trailer multiple times since, and I'm still like, oh man, we're so back. And then it sinks in like, we are back for sure. But it sinks in that like there's no release date, and it is with CGI trailers, it's the same with like Eclipse. Like that could look just nothing like what that trailer was. Obviously that was like borderline realistic trailer. So I try not to look into it too much. All I know is that we're getting a game in that sort of section of Star Wars, which still very much excites me. But agreed, I'm trying really hard to not get too excited, because it's even though Casey Hudson said the other day it's not 2030, like, man, it's not next year or the year after, or probably the year after that. So unless I did have a comment actually that made a good point, that like he was at a different studio that he also founded that I believe got shut down, that was working on another game. I don't know what that was, but the comment seemed to think it was potentially a sci-fi game. So he was like, I wonder if they can pull assets from that, and some of the early work is already done, and maybe that could cut 6 months or a year off development. But even then, I don't want it to be coming too soon. I don't want this to be rushed. I would rather them I'd rather this come out in 2032 and it be the best, on the level of KOTOR. I would rather that, even though that's such a long way away. So it's kind of hard to get too excited, but just every time I think about it, I'm like, man, we're getting like kind of a sequel to KOTOR. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of crazy. We're getting the next evolution. It's almost like how there's like the early Jedi games from the early 2000s, and now we've got the new Jedi games. And they're like, when I think of how much I love Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order, I'm like, man, if we can get that but like KOTOR version,
sign me up.
Yeah.
Same thing to you then, Split. Given that we know again exactly that it's possibly far out, we've only got CGI trailer, and just as Sammy says, it's a very similar situation to what we've got with Eclipse at the moment, and we know we've had little to no more info on that. Where are you at with it?
To be honest, very much the same position. Not to be too boring about it, but it's like as soon as I saw the trailer and sort of all the comments and things, I was like, okay, well, this is an Eclipse thing, right? This is like a few years out. We're probably not going to hear anything for a couple of years. and that's that. But at the same time, it's been 4 years since Eclipse got mentioned, so I feel like I can
Has it been that long?
Yeah, 2021 that was announced. Yeah, so like given it's already been that length of time, I feel like I'm more than happy to wait for Fate. And yeah, I don't know. I'm just really excited for it. I've obviously not played KOTOR 1 or 2. I mean, I've started 1, but the gameplay was so old and dated that I just was like, I'll try again in a few years.
Yeah, it's hard to go back, isn't it, with old games? I've actually I downloaded them both the other day for a pretty good price, and I've been spending a lot of time trying to implement a widescreen mod on KOTOR 1, but successfully did so. But then the HUD isn't going with it, so the HUD is like in the middle of the screen, and it's just, and then it crashed a few times as well, so it's difficult to get it going. Have you, Sammy? Have you played the KOTOR games?
I have, but I played them like pretty much when they came out, so I can honestly hardly remember anything to do with the story. I remember a lot of the characters and stuff, and just like vague memories of like planets and stuff. But I'm going to do a playthrough, and I genuinely feel like it will feel like it's the first time, because that was 2004, so I was 8. And I reckon I don't know if I played it exactly straight away. It was probably like, I don't know, 2005 when I played it. So it's been 20 years, you know, and I've played it once. It's not like I've played this multiple times over. So I have played it technically, but I may as well have not. I can't really remember it.
My hope for it comes from actually Casey Hudson directing it, because I am a big fan of the Mass Effect trilogy, at least Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, not so much Andromeda. But Mass Effect 2 especially is easily top 5 RPG that I've ever played. So I've got some real faith that the guy can deliver a pretty fantastic product. And people have been telling me for years that both KOTOR 1 and particularly KOTOR 2 is like one of the best written games of all time in terms of like pacing, just story reveals, everything. So it feels pretty positive. Yeah. If I could get from you really quickly, what are you currently more excited for, given the lack of information? FOTOR or Eclipse? I know that's a tricky question because there's not a lot out on either. But if you had to go for one right now that you would lean towards, where would you go?
It's probably FOTOR, because I feel like I can envision what that is. I don't really know what Eclipse is going to be, because Quantic Dream the game that looked like it would be in that trailer, I don't link that with Quantic Dream, so I'm curious to see how they will handle that. Not that they can't, they make some pretty good games, but like, I don't know. I don't know what that game's going to be. Whereas I feel like I pretty much know. We all know what FOTOR is going to be. If it's done properly, it's just going to be KOTOR with hopefully they do a better combat system and stuff like that. But like, I think if it's like any other RPG out there, and it's Star Wars and it's set in the Old Republic, like, it's going to be hard unless it's just terrible. I don't know how you mess that up.
I don't think you can mess it up to that degree.
Nah.
I think I'm also swinging with FOTOR. Like I'm really excited for Eclipse. It's obviously set late stages High Republic, so that's really cool. I'm a big fan of the High Republic era. Read a bunch of the books. And obviously and we've also had the Acolyte, which takes place towards the end of the High Republic. So like Eclipse could lead on from those stories really well. So I'm really excited for that. But with FOTOR, like the Old Republic as an era isn't fleshed out in canon at all yet. Like we've got mentions to it in various shows and books and games and things, but there's not a whole lot of meat in there. So FOTOR's got a really cool opportunity to take things from KOTOR 1, KOTOR 2, and Star Wars The Old Republic and essentially canonize those events. And I don't know, just start off that era so that we can then start getting more games and more books. And I don't know, maybe KOTOR like the KOTOR remake could potentially also be canon as well. And then this is a spiritual successor and therefore like sequel to that. And I don't know, I'm just really excited for that, I think. So that's why I'm leaning towards FOTOR more at the moment, but I'm equally excited for both of them, really.
I think, it's hard to go wrong there, isn't it? I think that as far as CGI trailers go, they're both pretty up there in terms of their both got to be like out
that rain.
Yeah.
Every time I see the rain in that Fate trailer, I'm just like, damn, because that's impressive. Like, never thought I'd be excited to see rain in the UK.
Yeah, we get enough of that. So I'm going to make a swathing assumption that you've both seen the Star Wars: The Old Republic CGI trailers. That absolutely phenomenal. Let me add, CGI trailers.
Yeah.
I actually very recently recorded a reaction to all of those. I haven't uploaded it yet. I need to finish editing and upload it. But it seems that they re-uploaded a bunch in 4K over the last few years, and
cool.
They just look absolutely stunning. And as I said previously, my exposure to the Old Republic is that game. I was in fact, that game is the sole reason I bought a gaming PC. I was trying to play it in its alpha on like a Dell Inspiron laptop, and that wasn't cutting the cake. So I had to go and buy like a GTX 560 back in the day to get that game running. Honestly, a 1.5 gig graphics card is crazy. But I'm really hoping we see some elements of what we know from the Old Republic timeline crop up in that game. And being a female protagonist, seemingly, it could either be potentially an original character, but I kind of hope it would be either Bastilla Shan or Satele Shan, who's obviously her descendant, as well as Revan's descendant. And I think if that's the route they take, it could lead on very, very nicely, as you say, Split, from the KOTOR remake, if they choose to canon.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I sort of went, because it's like late stages of the Old Republic, I sort of went down that Satele Shan sort of route.
Precisely.
That it could be her descendant. I mean, I know that SWTOR takes place like,
it's about 300
is it like
years.
300 years? Yeah, it's like 300 years after KOTOR 1 and 2. So it's like, but where does the Old Republic end, right? And what's between the Old Republic and the High Republic? What, like, there's so many unknowns at the moment. So it's like, this could easily be like,
that would be the Mid Republic.
100. Oh yeah, maybe. But it's like this could be like 100 years after SWTOR, or it's like 400 years after SWTOR. Like, we just actually don't know at the moment. So yeah, but I think the Satele and Bastilla sort of route could make sense. I mean,
I feel like it
based
can't
on the
be
hair
ignored.
alone, it's just like, that's where I was definitely going with it as well. So
yeah,
the blue eyes.
That's what's exciting to me, is that, like, what you just mentioned about, we don't know so much in that time period, and they've started slightly fleshing out with the High Republic, where now we're sort of getting an idea of, 100 years prior to the prequels, what was happening and stuff. There's like 1,000 years before that. They can do unlimited, like, once they unlock this, we could be getting, you could just about focus Star Wars could just become the Old Republic for like 20 years of books, TV, movies, and you would still not fill all of that out. So
I would have no problem with that.
Yeah, I think that would be such a good idea. Like, Star Wars has obviously had its, I think after the sequels, it's kind of had a lot of negative sentiment towards it. I think that would be such a good thing to, like, just not to say only do that, but just like focus on that in movies and stuff as well. Like, imagine we got a movie trilogy of like KOTOR type setting. That would so many people would be like, oh my god, like that would
be a bit of a palate cleanser, really.
Johnny Reeves is Revan.
That's what I feel they need. They need to like almost reset a little bit and just like get things back on track, because there's even say with the Mando movie, like I've seen a lot of people being like, oh, I'll see it, but I'm not that interested in it. And like that shouldn't be the case with Star Wars. It's the Star Wars movie coming out next year, and I don't hear people talking about that. Do you know what I mean? That's a huge. It's the first one in 5 years or 6 years at that point. 7 years.
Yeah, the metrics on that are quite low, aren't they, in comparison to like the sequel trilogy trailers in the same time period? It's not actually doing the numbers you'd expect it to do.
Well, I saw a thing. So the Supergirl trailer has outviewed the Mando and Grogu trailer, and the Mando and Grogu trailer was 3 months ago. Supergirl was like 3 days.
Yeah,
that surprises me, given the negative feeling around that DC universe off the back of the Superman movie. It was, I think I'm right in saying it was generally pretty negatively received, right?
I've seen a lot of complaints about like Supergirl in particular too. People saying like this doesn't need to be a movie and stuff. I haven't seen Superman, so I don't know how that ended. I've just seen the clip at the end of her, but like, that's crazy that it's outperformed.
Yeah, that is crazy.
And I honestly think season 3 like dampened it a bit, because I enjoyed it enough, but it was like it just wasn't on the same level as the other two.
Grogu didn't need to come back.
Nah, especially not in Book of Boba. Like, what the hell was that? I'm sorry, if someone's watched season 1, 2, and 3 of Mando and they didn't watch Book of Boba, they'd be like, "What?
Confused?
Did he not just give up this kid?"
Yeah,
and now
going from the end of it. Yeah,
like there's actually there's zero explanation in, as far as I remember, in episode 1 of season 3 of Mando that this is what happened. It just happened.
Book of Boba is required watching to understand that.
And so it's like, Grogu's back and he's got a new starfighter.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that period of Star Wars, like, I enjoyed Book of Boba, but it wasn't maybe on the same level as a lot of other stuff. And I think that little period there, I think that was around the same time as Kenobi too, which had a lot of negative sentiment. I think that period just really did a lot of kind of damage to Star Wars. Not that it's like dead, obviously, but it just feels like there was a lot of hype. It was like sequels were done. We got Mando, we got all these other stuff, and then it's like, oh, actually, these aren't. These are all like 7
you're
out of
bringing
10.
back Boba Fett and Obi-Wan Kenobi. Oh my god, these are going to be insane. And then it's just like, oh, they were right.
Yeah, exactly. They should have been. We should be finishing those shows being like, oh my god, we're back. But we were kind of like, oh, they were fine. Like, shouldn't be the case. You bring Obi-Wan back, we shouldn't be like, yeah, that was all right. That shouldn't.
I do feel though that in that period you're talking about, Sammy, Star Wars was in a bit of like an awkward position where it couldn't do anything right just due to like an ongoing sentiment. Like, look at Outlaws.
Yeah.
When that dropped as well. I'm of the opinion that that's a fantastic game. For me, that's an 8.5 encroaching on a 9.
Damn.
I thoroughly enjoyed that game. And I've played a lot of it. I went and bought this. And again, that was fairly negatively received across the board. And it almost feels like I watch people on Reddit, on the Outlaws subreddit, like trying to justify their enjoyment of that game, which is not cool to see. I mean, I feel like that period of Star Wars has been pretty tricky. But moving into something a bit more positive, from the Game Awards again, obviously FOTOR was not the only game reveal we got. And I'll be honest, I was surprisingly more excited for the next one, which we of course know has turned out to be Galactic Racer. And again, from previously speaking to the pair of you, from what I understand, you're both pretty jazzed for this one as well. Split particularly, I mean, you've had some in-depth chats about this one. So, Split, you can lead off on this one. Initial thoughts on GR, and tell us just how excited you are for it.
Immensely, and I will say that publicly for a long time. I've wanted a Star Wars racing game for years, like literally 10+ years. I've wanted something like this. Yeah, and like the style of the artwork as well was a bit Wipeout-like, which was one of the first, I think was the first racing game I ever played. So there's like a bit of nostalgia with the Wipeout sort of vibe. It's being made by Criterion developers, so the team behind Need for Speed, Burnout. A lot of the developers worked on, like, one of my favorite Need for Speeds which was the newest Most Wanted from like 2012. I played the hell out of that game. So like they've got all the right people, they've got the vibe. Yeah, I'm just so excited. I mean, there's this whole sentiment around like, oh, there's no pod racers, but I'm actually pretty certain I'm looking at essentially a pod racer right now. It's got dual engines, it's funky looking, and it's nice that there's different classes of racing as well. It's not just, oh, it's just pod racing. It's more than that. They're revisiting old locations from previous games. There's multiplayer. Finally, like, we get another Star Wars multiplayer game. So I'm really excited for more details. Obviously, they're quite sparse at the moment, but yeah, I could ramble on so much about how excited I am and why I'm excited for various bits and bobs, but I'll stop there for now. But yeah, very excited.
And you, Sammy, similar feelings? And did you play episode 1 Racer back in the day?
I did, and I played it when they like what did they put it on PS5 or something a few years ago?
Yeah, they like Swire Media
that's
jazzed up a bit.
Yeah, so I played it again then, and I've just re-downloaded it because any videos that I make on Galactic Racer, I'll probably just use gameplay. So I'll probably be playing over the next few months, I'd say. I'm probably not on the same level as Mark just because I'm not a racer guy, but I'm a Star Wars guy. So any game that comes out that's got Star Wars on it, I'm instantly excited. It was the same with like Squadrons. I'm not a flight sim player, but I saw that and was like, yes, give me that. I'm the type of person who enjoys have set like genres that I love. I'm a shooter guy. I usually like, say, Souls-likes and games like that. But I also love just playing some random shit that I don't normally play. So Squadrons for me was like awesome. That I've never really played a flight sim before, and I absolutely love that game. I have no doubt it will be the same with Galactic Racer. That I'm not to say I've never played racing games, but it's just not my go-to.
It's not your go-to. Yeah,
zero doubt in my mind I will not like. I'm gonna love this game, so I'm keen for it, and especially the fact it's got multiplayer. I just need something to like hook me for more than like a month, because that's the issue with Star Wars gaming. Even when we get good games, it's like, well, we play it, and like Jedi Survivor for me is probably in my top 3 favorite Star Wars games. But you play it, and then even if you do a replay, you're looking at 2 months max. Like I played that game I think 3 times, and after 2 or 3 months of it, it's like you can't really do that much more. In the future,
the nature of the genre has limit, doesn't it? So it's and I think that's actually a positive. Sometimes it's good to enjoy those things in like a limited capacity and enjoy it for what it was. I know you're a big Last of Us guy, and that's if you ask me, similar experience. You won't replay that a million times, but the times you do, it's thoroughly enjoyable.
It's different when it's more. It's like it's more special because you only play it a handful of times. So I think the issue for me is more, that's all we get. If we have those experiences, and then we got, I always say it in our group chat, if we have a Battlefront 3 out at the same time, and then we get this card game, and then we get Galactic Racer, even if it was just single player, I love that. But when that's all we get, it just becomes a bit like, give me something that in a year from now, like say something launched today, in a year from now, I want to still be playing it, because we haven't had that in a long time. Even with Squadrons, that had multiplayer, and I love that game, but I don't know how. I probably played it for 4 months, I reckon, and loved it. But it was the nature of how that game went, and I don't like look negatively on that, because they advertised that initially. They pretty much said we're not going to do anything, and they actually did more updates than they said that they would.
Yeah.
So I'm just keen for something that we can hopefully sink our teeth into for years.
It's almost like in between all that, we need a small 4 versus 4 arena shooter to tie us over.
Yeah, that would be cool. I don't picture anyone ever doing that, because I just don't think it would work properly. But that would be really helpful if someone would make.
If someone would do that,
a really cool little shooter, that would be fucking fantastic. But unfortunately, that's not going to happen, is it, boys?
So my thoughts on Racer.
Mark's going into deep depression.
I won't touch on it again, I promise.
Yeah, it's touchy. Still too soon. It's been like a year almost.
So, Racer for me, I think I'm up there with you, Split. I'm really excited. I don't know if you saw my reaction to that one, but I was actually speechless for about 10 seconds when that popped up. I saw the Star Destroyer and I was just like, was really into it, because one of the earliest Star Wars games I ever played, I can tell you the order I played them in. It was the original Rogue Squadron. My dad used to work for IBM, so he came in with this like real old beige piece. Back in the day, would have been like next level cutting edge technology. This beige tower with joystick. And so Rogue Squadron was my very first game on there. Then it was Racer, and then it was the Phantom Menace game, which I think is a great game as well. But the amount of time as a kid, because I was 7 or 8 years old, I didn't have the capacity to really enjoy the Phantom Menace to the level I could nowadays. Just blasting around a track in a pod racer would just keep me entertained for hours. And I've been playing that recently, and I'm just reliving my childhood. So
yeah, that's so good, man.
Racer coming back, and as you just alluded to, bringing back some of the old planets such as Ando Prime, which actually made its debut in Racer, I think is a really nice touch from the team putting it together, which is Fuse Games. So I'm like next level hyped. And then obviously at the end of the trailer, we got the Sammyboiii, which, and as I said to you, Split Screen, I think it would be incredibly tone deaf to tease that in a racing game and not give us pods. My personal opinion is they will save the reveal of pods for another big hype moment in a few months' time to keep the hype wave going, rather than just splurge it all out now. There'll be a pod racer trailer in, I don't know, March or whatever, finger in the air. That will really create more hype as they close it on the launch window, and we'll probably get gameplay with that, and it'll break down different vehicle types and how they handle gameplay wise, do you expect this to be more of a traditional racer? Because it obviously in the trailer it seems to show quite a decent amount of destruction. Now, I'm not foreseeing it to be like a Mario Kart style racer where you can like collect pickups and take people out.
No.
But I think there's going to be some sort of mechanics where we can certainly make life tricky for other races in the game, which will play into the multiplayer.
So I think I'm just trying to quickly find the interview actually for it, because I think it does mention at the bottom of the interview. Bear with. Where is it? Characteristics. No. I thought I saw somewhere it mentioned about abilities and things, but maybe I'm wrong. I feel like I definitely saw this. I might be looking at the wrong place. But yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, it's evident from the trailer that, we'll be able to take down opponents and things, and that I mean, I've not actually played the Burnout series in a long time. But I did have a Burnout game on the
great
PSP,
games.
I think. And in that, like, you're racing, but you take out people, right? I think.
Yeah.
And there's, like,
there was
the
experience I had with that game was like they had like a derby mode where you would just drive at each other, and like you had like health bars, and it was like full on destruction, and there was like certain stuff you could do.
I'd be so down for that as well in a Galactic Racer game.
Yeah, so I'm hoping, because obviously some of the team worked on Burnout, I'm hoping that they implement some of that stuff. The Burnout series, like that's probably the most, like in terms of all the racing games. I played a lot of Need for Speed when I was young as well, but I'd say Burnout's probably the game that I played the most. And yeah, man, if they did that in Star Wars, we're eating.
Mm-hmm. For me, it was either you guys ever play Midnight Club?
No.
Yeah.
Midnight Club is more of like a street racing game where you can very Fast and Furious 1 and 2 inspired, where you like mod your cars and add like stupid neon lights underneath them and stuff. So if I can like drop my pod or drop my speeder and bling it out and stuff, I'll be so jazzed. Well, let me be like a space chav.
but that's what I think it is, though, right? Like I saw a comment on the Discord server being like, you should only do pod races, don't give us boring speeder bikes and things.
I saw that one. Yeah,
like, bro, like, yeah, we spoke about it. And it's like, dude, what are you on about? Like, people go around the UK in little bloody VW Golf GTIs, which sure, okay, they're kind of nice, but they're crappy little hatchbacks that they've like done up themselves. They've put some weird spoilers on them, some little LED like boy racer like lights and fat exhaust, and like, and I'm looking at the Galactic Racer website now, and I can see like sort of clear signs of modification on a sort of traditional speeder thing. Like they've taken off panels and things, presumably to allow for engine cooling and stuff like that. There's all these different factors. I mean, the actual like bonnet's off, so the engine at the front is like probably getting more air intake and things like that, and it's just like more explosive, higher top speed, whatever. Like that seems very clear to me that that's going to be the case. I think we're going to see some like cool stuff, but we're also going to see some more like boring traditional stuff that will be able to like highly modify, highly customize, and it's just going to be so cool, man.
Yeah, I'm really up for it. And like as you alluded to there, I think that actually just adds another layer of diversity to the game. Do you know what I mean? If that is truly in the game, it's rather than just choose this vehicle, go.
Yeah,
an entire customization suite, much like you'd get on something like a gunsmith in like a shooter game. If I can have that level of customability of my vehicles, bring it on. Puts the replayability up. So
something they've mentioned with this game as well is that it's runs based racing.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously that's a little bit more roguelike. So I'm not really, to be honest, I'm not really too familiar with how it's going to work. I've not played any like runs based games before, I'll be honest. But it's almost like if there's like tournaments, it's like as you progress through a tournament, you'll be able to like buy like or like unlock sort of things to upgrade your racer for the rest of that tournament, and then at the end of the tournament, like that sort of like, I mean, I guess you may not necessarily progress for the next tournament. You might have to restart that progression route, or like if you end up losing or not getting to a certain position, that might end the run. And I know I'm not sure how it's going to work in that sense, but like by winning races, you might get upgrades for your speeders. You might get new like abilities or something. You know, like it's unsanctioned underground racing, so no doubt there's going to be a few subulbas where you just like chuck in like a wrench into like Wacko's little engines. You know, it's like I don't know. I feel like we're going to get stuff like that. You know, it would be kind of strange not to, based on the theme of the game. So we'll see. Could be wrong, but
what's funny is Sammy, me and Split actually went out for some food the other day, and during that conversation we were catching up. We were talking about Beyond Victory, obviously another pod racing game we've had quite recently, which I want to sort of preface and say I really enjoyed the game, but not for the reasons I expected to enjoy it. And I think that's a pretty fair comment. The campaign had 4 races. Was it 3?
I think. Well, it was like 4, but the last one was like
one of them
2. It was like
getaway
race. It was just, so it's like not really a race.
But genuinely really enjoyed like the exploration bits with Volo in that. It was quite immersive, and I really enjoyed that. But we did touch on the fact that it left a little bit to be desired in the racing aspect, and it was the racing. Let's be honest, wasn't particularly easy to control. I was pretty awful at it, if I'm being honest. I was crashing left, right, and center. And we were like, we just really need a new racing game that has a decent. And then lo and behold, 7 days later, bang! And so I had to have a little laugh. It was pretty ironic.
I feel like that's rare that happens, because we always say we need this and that, and it never happens. So finally, something good has happened.
We got what we want, boys. I've spoken to my brother about this. It's like we've had Beyond Victory a few months ago with Subulba. It's pod racing. It's a racing game, and then we get this. It's almost like it was Beyond Victory like a precursor to this coming out. Like, was it like teasing us, getting us prepared? Like, probably not. But it's just like Beyond Victory is ILM immersive and meta, so it's Lucasfilm company and partnered with Meta. So it's like, well, I mean, maybe like
I feel like Lucasfilm would have to have done a little bit of like planning to line that up.
They know what they're doing.
Well, I did think, given, so a spoiler alert for any viewers, you've got about 5 seconds to skip forward about a minute, so I don't spoil the ending of Beyond Victory for you. But at the end of that game, Subulba has basically become a bit of a criminal, or more of a criminal, and put racing aside, and at the end he gets taken away by a hut, essentially as a prisoner. So I don't know about you guys, but I kind of thought, okay, that's the end of Subulba's storyline forever. He's come back in the pod racing game. He's been captured for a crime and for pod racing again. So to see him at the end of that was a massive shock to me, because I thought, 2 games, based on pod racing, post Phantom Menace, what are the chances? So I'm actually really intrigued to see the story repercussions that will be. Well, and I wonder if it will even explain what happens to him post Beyond Victory, or if it will just gloss over it and he's just there.
Well, that's what I'm kind of thinking of Beyond Victory being a precursor to this then, because it's like, well, we know what's just happened with Subulba. Obviously, this is going to be taking place years later, but it's like, what's just happened? Okay, what's just happened in like the 15 plus years that between Beyond Victory to what Galactic Racer is going to be set in? Like, obviously, it's a long time, so anything could have happened. But last time we saw Bulby, that he's being shipped off by slugs. So it's like, are they going to explain that? Like, hopefully they do in some way. I don't know. Maybe they'll. I mean, with a lot of games, they release books or comics and stuff. Maybe they'll explain that.
I feel like we'll get a little comic run or something, like a five issue comic that'll just explain what's happened or something, if they want to. I don't know, because like Beyond Victory is such a small game. I don't know if they will feel the need to. That might just be the type of thing where it's like that just happened. Like we got to experience that. No one else really knows that happened, and he was imprisoned by the huts and he found his way out, and that's all we need to know. So that there's a chance that happens. I would be down for a little comic run. I mean, they did the one for Beyond Victory, so if they're going to do one for that, there's no. They did it for Fallen Order as well. And it's definitely possible, but I'm curious to see if we find out any more about Sebulba, or if he's just there for like the token character, like
Yeah.
Sebulba, like
Listen to his
Nostalgia.
moderator engine.
yeah, like that was my initial thought. I'm like, oh, that's Sebulba. They got to put something in there, but it'd be cool if he's a big part of the story or something. That'd be interesting.
I'd kind of be surprised if they don't have him as a key part of it when they just
Yeah.
turn him off at the end there. It's like,
Agreed.
Okay.
Why would you do that
Yeah.
otherwise?
Yeah.
So to move on from the actual game element a little bit, just to talk about the community around that game already, which seems to be sort of a nice little fledgling community, and then also to give a shout out to the studio and how they are managing things. We obviously saw I'm going to touch on it really quickly, the negative sort of launch of Star Wars Hunters and how that was mishandled with sort of consumer relations. This game looks like it's actually off to a pretty good start in that regard. They seem to be engaging quite nicely. They're definitely listening. They've said as much explicitly that they are listening to all the feedback.
Mm-hmm.
Does that fill you guys with hope that this will turn into a good product?
Yeah, I think for me that's like one of the key things in any game, any studio. You've got to, if you actually show that you care about your community and you listen to them, and it doesn't mean you have to implement everything they say, but if you just,
of course,
listening, and if there's something you can't do, you explain why and stuff like that. I think that is the key, especially with multiplayer elements. I think it's different when it's single player. You can kind of just put a game out there and it's like done, and that's that. But if you're going to have multiplayer elements to it and you're not going to listen or talk to your community, you're just almost instantly dead, in my opinion. That's just how so many games just die off. They just launch, they don't listen to their community, they don't talk. Everyone's just sitting around like, are we going to get patch notes? Are we going to get any updates on what's happening? People just get, I think these days there's so many games, people just get like turned away. It's like, why would I spend my time playing this game? They don't care about us. I'm just going to go play something else. Whereas when you're in a community,
time needs to be respected, doesn't it? I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when you're in a community that like they're constantly updating you, you feel a part of it. That was like a big thing for Battlefront for me, where that was half the reason I loved that game, is that they were constantly talking to us about stuff. They were constantly trying to show us what they were working on and stuff, as much as they could anyway. And it just makes you feel a part of that. It's like a journey that you're going on. You're not just playing the game. You're like part of an actual little community. Yeah. And we never got that with Hunters. That was like the it was just a game that barely got talked about by them. And we were all having fun playing it, but we're all kind of like, is this coming out on PC or what are we doing? And it's just like frustrating. It just makes me, at least for me, I can't speak for everyone, but like for me, that it turns me off, man. If you're not going to engage with us.
With Hunters, I think we had to make our own community, and I think that's why, to be fair, using the Galactic Racer community as an example, there seems to be a lot of recognizable people from the Hunters community, and I think that is a natural product of that community having to be so close to. If we had to foster that environment ourselves, so that's obviously nice, but it doesn't get us what we need from a game community. And Split, I won't keep going on too much, but your thoughts on the Galactic Racer community so far? Because you've been very involved from what I've seen, which has been good to see as well.
Yeah, no, it's really positive. I mean, it feels weird that like we're almost celebrating this, because this is how it should. This is just how it should be. Right? Like if a game gets revealed for next year, they should be setting up a Discord. They should be engaging with the community. They should be posting regularly about it. All these things. Everything that they've been doing so far is exactly what they should be doing from a community engagement perspective. So that's great. It fills me with a lot of confidence. And then obviously you compare it to what Hunters got, and it's just like, I mean, I literally released a video a few hours ago saying like Galactic Racer has put Hunters to shame. Yeah. Boy, has it.
It's crazy. It's not even out yet. It's not even. We don't even have a release date.
It's like crazy. We don't even have a release date, and the marketing is already better. Like it infuriates me to no end. Honestly, it really does. But I'm gonna move on, because the past can't hurt you if you don't look, chaps.
Yeah, we've been down that rabbit hole a few times as well. So.
Yeah, we have. So yeah, no, I'm really excited. I mean, everyone seems really friendly. Like, there's a lot of the developers in there already, and they're like speaking, they're engaging with people. The community manager's been really active as well, which is really good to see. It just feels really, really positive, and I hope that what is being fostered at the moment can really like keep going, especially as we get closer to launch. I know it's a Fuse Games Discord server at the moment. There will be a Galactic Racer Discord server as well.
Yeah.
So hopefully what they've started here, they're also gonna, implement into that. But yeah, very pleased with it so far. Already had some interesting comments to respond to and like argue with, which is very exciting for me to get back into that.
I think though, at the very least, that element of it shows that people are invested. Do you know what I mean? If people are arguing over it, it's because they've got a vested interest and they care to a degree, or they're just trolls. But I think I'm taking a positive spin on it.
In the community is a good sign. I think if we didn't really have that much in Hunters, did we? There was not that much like
only between a few comp players who basically had to tell everyone else they were better than anyone else. But other than that,
generally comp players will do that as well. But like, I think that's like being so involved in the Battlefield community. That's all it is. Everyone's just complaining, arguing with each other. This part of the game sucks. No, that part of the game is good. You have no idea. Like that's part of it. And as unhealthy as that probably is, I think that is a sign to me that things are going well, or at least that people care. Yeah, because if you got no one, it means no one cares if you've got no one arguing about stuff. If it's just like, this sucks, I'm not going to bother wasting my time talking about it. Whereas if people are actually interested in it, they're going to, for whatever reason, they're going to make their opinion forced down people's throat. For whatever reason,
I've seen people talking about like potential planets. Split, I saw you in that discussion about planets, and that we probably think it's going to have to adhere to canon at the time. People obviously being quite emotive about what vehicles we're going to use and what vehicles we won't use, and different gameplay elements. So there's different like facets of discussion as well. So I think you're absolutely bang on there, Sammy. It's ultimately a net positive for the community to see, as long as they stay respectful. It doesn't fall through the floor too much. I think that's pretty good. Right, so I think we've covered enough on Galactic Racer there. I think ultimately we will agree, pretty excited for a new multiplayer game, even as a racer. In fact, I think it might be quite nice to be a different genre for a little bit. So that was the Game Awards. Other than that, at the Game Awards, they were my main two concerns. I think overall was a pretty good show, but that was certainly the cherry on top. But they're obviously not the only upcoming Star Wars games that we've got. So just to rattle off a few, we've obviously got Zero Company, Eclipse that we previously discussed, Amy Hennig's game, which is currently unannounced, or sorry, the title's unannounced at this time, Jedi 3, which again, we don't know the full title, and then there's also the card game and the Fortnite and Disney project, which I keep harping on about. And if I can start with that, just as a point of discussion, they put a lot of money into that, Disney that is, a lot of money into Epic Games, and I think naturally Star Wars will have a decent weighting in whatever that eventually turns out to be, given the concept art is chock full of Star Wars stuff. We also very recently had the Disneyland Game Rush. I don't know if either of you played that in Fortnite. It's essentially a little bit like, so it's a creator map made by Disney that plays kind of like Fall Guys. You go in, you get a bunch of different game modes on different maps. There's a Star Wars map, which is like in a First Order base, Indiana Jones, Haunted Mansion, Spider-Man, and what was the last one? Guardians of the Galaxy. And there might be one more too.
There's a Space Mountain one as well.
Space Mountain. And, oh God, it's a regular mountain. It's called the Matterhorn as well. So there's a bunch of different maps. You go in, you spend about, 2 or 3 minutes split, 3 or 4 minutes, not that long. You just rack up a high score. But in that, there was... you spawn into a First Order base, you just got to kill stormtroopers, you get a blast, you can get a lightsaber and rack up a score. So again, Star Wars seems to be like leading the charge in that aspect. I'm really hoping when that comes out, we get like a proper social space. Essentially, from what we're being teased, is a bit of a virtual Disney park. And me and Split had a good discussion about this again the other day. And I think you're on board with me here, Split, but what I would like to see is not just mini games in that, and like it being like a portal to other games from those IPs built within Fortnite. For all we know, we could get 4v4 multiplayer within the Star Wars portal, if we want to call it that. Do we think that's coming out anytime soon, given that's had a fairly long announcement and the amount of money behind it? How extensive is your initial? How expensive do you think that project will be initially?
I'd be curious to hear Sammy's for like views first.
Like my understanding of the whole Disney Fortnite thing is not that extensive, because when they announced that, I was kind of like, I assumed it was a long way away. I remember seeing that announcement and was like, that looks kind of cool, but I don't even know necessarily what it is, because they were pretty vague about it in the initial announcement. So I think, like you said, because of the amount of money they put into, like, they're now pretty much part owners of Fortnite.
Yeah,
like
they are,
that feels like you don't just do that and just be like, all right, there's a bunch of money and we're just not going to do anything with it. They're obviously going to try and do something big. So I think for me, I'm just trying to like not get too excited by that fact and just really wait and see what they actually announce, because it could be something that's real. Like you said, you can make, just like they've done with like the Lego freaking Rocket League, or the Lego modes and the Rocket League modes within Fortnite and stuff. Like they can do that with Star Wars, which that's where I'd be like, okay, if you make a, I don't know, like Republic Commando in Fortnite and it's just running around 6v6 like COD but Star Wars,
that would be lit, by the way.
Like like stuff like that, then I'm like, okay, now that's like my main focus. I'm playing that every day.
Yeah,
it could also be some little, like you said, some like a little mini game stuff where I'd play it, but I'm not gonna sink hours into that sort of thing. So
of course,
I'm trying to just like I'm almost like disregarding it until we actually hear anything, because I'm trying not to get too excited by the prospects, because like you said, you guys have had discussions. If I start discussing stuff like I just did, I'd be like, oh, that sounds cool, and then I'm worried about getting my hopes up too much, because it could literally be anything. So I don't really have too many thoughts on it, other than I think the potential is crazy, but it just depends what you're
tempering expectations. Yeah,
pretty much. But also, like, it's Fortnite. Like they don't mess around with everything that they do is always pretty much top tier. So I'm also thinking like they're not going to do just some random little bullshit game, you know.
Did you play much of the Star Wars season in
I actually played quite a bit, like compared to how much I played Fortnite. It was still probably not as much as like you guys would have played, but I don't know, I clocked a good 10-15 hours playing that, and I thought it was really cool. I thought the fact that it was like all of the weapons were now just blasters and stuff, the fact like that level of change I didn't expect to see. I thought it would just be, you know, the skins and some lightsabers and stuff, but jumping in, I was like, man, this is actually really cool. I think that was a big part of the whole Battlefront resurgence, because people were like, man, shooting the blasters again, this is so much fun. Cool. That was for me a big part. I was playing it for a few weeks, and then that whole resurgence started, and I'm like, man, I got the Star Wars itch. I want to jump back into that. So I had a lot of fun with it, but it didn't last. It's probably like 2 or 3 weeks of playtime.
You were pretty big on it, Split. I know you played a ton of the Galactic season. We played a decent amount of that together as well. Got a couple of dubs.
Yeah,
no messing.
Yes, sir.
So I won't ask you to go into the Fortnite Disney stuff too much, but just a quick gloss over it, sort of off the back of what Sammy said.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to temper expectations, because it could almost be like just mini games that have no real impact. But equally, it's like, well, we've got all these Star Wars games, Star Wars guns even in the game. It's like, well, and locations and assets. It's like, well, why don't we just see like a small scale Star Wars battle royale that's permanently there? Or they could go and make like a mini Battlefront. Like we've seen the Battle of Hoth as a sort of area in the concept art. So it's like, well, I don't know, full scale Battle of Hoth would be pretty sick. Like battles like that we can play on PvP. I don't know. I'd love to see those kind of things. It'll be interesting to see how that goes as well, because a lot of the time these sort of like games within Fortnite don't seemingly do like crazy numbers. It's like Rocket Racing, I don't know, gets like 10,000 concurrent players, which is actually, to be fair, is decent. It's not like horrific, but that is across all platforms. So it's a bit like it's not great. I feel like Star Wars would maybe have a bit more impact, but at the same time, hard to say. So yeah, I want to temper expectations. There's a lot of potential for it. I'm a big Fortnite fan, so yeah, fingers crossed for something good. But yeah, I know it could release later this year as well. You never know. It's been announced for a couple of years now, so who knows?
It's another one for the list of upcoming Star Wars video game projects. So
for sure.
Yeah, hopefully that list starts to shrink and they actually start releasing. Would be really cool. At this point, I think. So obviously the card game, I won't go too deep on. We know very little about it. It's just coming to mobile. I think is a nice supplementary product to have alongside
and
big
PC.
games. Yeah, and PC. Good shout, of course. Yeah, which is good. I think because if you want to play it with some slightly better graphics and stream it and stuff, that's a really nice option as well.
That's a big one.
I play a lot of Star Wars Unlimited. Obviously, I think I have ridiculous amounts of Star Wars Unlimited cards within arm's reach. So to say that I'm excited for it is actually a bit of an understatement. I'm just a big TCG player, so obviously having that at my fingertips wherever I am for me is pretty exciting. But of course, I wouldn't want that to be my only Star Wars game that I can access. So nice supplementary product. Then Zero Company, of course, you guys were both lucky enough to be out in Japan at Celebration and get involved, partake in the panel for that. So obviously watched that as opposed to being there, but we've got a decent amount of information on that. As of right now, I guess that's the most information we have on any upcoming Star Wars game. Expecting to see it obviously this year, pending no delays happen or anything like that. Have you guys played games of that genre? And what's your excitement levels for that?
I've played XCOM 2 for about 2 to 3 hours now, maybe. And that was pre-celebration in expectation of Zero Company. Was it pre-celebration or post?
I think it was pre, because I think I remember you. Oh, maybe it was post. But I feel like I remember you getting ready for.
It must have been pre-celebration. Yeah. Because I don't think I played it after. Yeah. So I played a couple of hours of it, and I really enjoyed what they were doing with XCOM 2. Like, I will go back and finish it at some point, but you know, the gameplay in it, the cinematics, the way they were driving the story forward, I was really liking that. So taking that into Star Wars is huge. There's a lot of potential for it. Obviously, set in the Clone Wars, it's going to be just insane. Like, biggest galaxy map we ever had. It's like, oh boy, like customize our own characters, story characters. Just, I'm really excited for it. I think it's kind of weird because we've not heard anything in quite literally 8 months now. So I've kind of like gone past it, and Galactic Racer is in the forefront of my mind now. So because I reckon Galactic Racer is going to come first. But yeah, I'm really excited for Zero Company. I think it's going to be really exciting. I hope they do add like some kind of small multiplayer element to it as well. Because imagine like a racing game and like cool. I don't know. I can't even remember what genre you would class it as.
It's like a tactical strategy game. They call it, don't they?
That's it. Yeah, strategy game. Of course it is. Yeah. But like in a PvP setting, it would be like you versus one other dude with
a game of chess,
like
bro.
Five. It's literally chess, but
I would play the absolute fuck out of that shit. I would play that literally for 5 years, bro.
Yeah, exactly. Like imagine those two together, plus the TCG. Like, boys.
Yes. I think we're lucky with Star Wars that it lends itself to so many different genres, doesn't it? And different, like we have racing games, shooters, third-person adventure games, a card game. A strategy game. There are endless opportunities. I haven't really played much of the genre. I've played Gears Tactics, which was Gears of War spin on that. Fun little game, actually. Admittedly, that's not my favorite genre of gameplay. I would rather just be blasting people with a gun, but I certainly enjoyed it. And one thing it does allow is for quite good narrative to be delivered, like between essentially matches of that. The Gears one had a surprisingly decent story. I've not played XCOM, but a good friend of mine, one of my channel mods, is a big XCOM guy, and he swears by it. Says they're great games. So I'm really hoping we get some news on that soon. And I think if I was being honest, I hope that's the next game we get, because I would rather I guess maybe it's just because of the order we've received news on them, but Galactic Racer for me is still cooking a little bit, and I'm happy to see that continue to cook. Whereas I feel like I'm not satiated with Zero Company just yet. I want more information. I want to see it. I want to get hands on and see what's coming next. So you're pretty excited for that. Sammy, your thoughts on Zero Company? Are you, like you say, you're pretty buzzed for a Star Wars game of chess?
Yeah.
So I assume,
I'm
you're
a
a big
chess
guy as well.
Yeah, I actually used to play chess a lot in school, and I love.
Oh, really?
I love any. Yeah, like I went to like state championships when I was in like high school
Oh,
and
let's
stuff.
go! Look at this
Yeah,
guy.
massive nerd. I'm not that good at it now, to be fair, but I used to be decent at it. But I love that type of game where it is just, and what we were just saying about multiplayer, if it's different against the computer, but when you're doing that against another player, and it's just like, who is the smartest person here?
Yes.
Obviously it's not overall
Love
smartness,
that,
but
man.
it's like, who's gonna outsmart the other person in this situation? I love that sort of thing. Even in like a shooter, that's generally my strength, is more I'm not the best aim, I'm not the best at movement, I'm better at like outmaneuvering people, and I love that in this sort of setting. And the Star Wars version of that, man, I'm so keen. I played XCOM 2 when I was maybe like early 20s, so maybe like close to 10 years ago now. I don't know, 8 or 9 years ago. And my housemate at the time was like a huge XCOM fan. So I saw him playing XCOM 2 for the first time. I don't think I'd like heard of it, but I'd never played it. Watched him playing it, thought it looked cool. And I played XCOM 2 back then and loved it. And I've just recently, or it was like the middle of this year, I've picked it back up just to kind of get used to it again. If they do that properly, man, we're in for a banger. I think that could just be something special. It just feels like the Star Wars universe is made for that type of game. You've just got so many. You've got like factions, different classes of soldiers. It's always like Star Wars always has such a great potential for story as well. And like you said, I think those sort of games are so good for stories because, as they've even said, like you can go in there with the main characters that they give us, and in the first mission, the Jedi might die and they're dead. You can choose to like fix it up, but they're dead forever if you choose that. And that's a big part of the story because it's like you're almost making your own story in your head. You're like, man, that was my favorite character. Now he's dead, and now in the next mission, you're going to go and get revenge on like you build your own stories in those sort of games, as well as the fact we can then make our own characters. So you can just disregard all the characters they give us and make a bunch of clones that you send out there and do. There's the unlimited potential for that sort of game. I feel like even though there most likely won't be multiplayer, I think the replayability is going to be insane. I could see myself doing 10 playthroughs because I could just do one where it's like the main cast that they give us, and I just try to keep them all alive, and I get like the canon version of the story. Next time around, I make a droid army and I just send them out and do that, and like just do, and then I'll do like some
R2
funny,
deathbots, shit. Like...
because they had that like screen of them all the customization, and there was like 5 R2 units, and I'm like, that would be the funniest thing to do a playthrough of, like, just
they
sending droids out.
yeah.
So like that sort of customization of, it's pretty much customizing the story, because these are characters you can make up. You can make all these droids and give them each a name, and they have different personalities, and you know that the red one is real aggressive and he always goes out and does stupid shit, and you're always like, oh, get back, like you can build your own stories in it. And I think especially for like content creation, I think that's going to be so much fun.
Really
just
huge.
doing like,
I was literally just
a
waiting to say the
playthrough
same
series, and just doing
as
like
creators, it gives us
letting
a lot
your
of choice.
viewers get to know this character that you've made, and you
that'd be
build
so
a whole
cool,
plot
man.
line and stuff, and then like every week the comments would be like, oh, I can't believe the red one nearly died again. Like there's just unlimited potential for that sort of thing.
Man,
so
that's so cool.
I'm so excited for that game. It kind of like, before we saw the official reveal, I was kind of like, yeah, that would be cool. Like, I wasn't that excited. Once we saw it, I'm like, oh, okay, I actually think they're cooking here. I can't wait for it. It's probably my most anticipated of every game that's announced, mostly because it's coming next year. I think like Jedi 3, for example, I'm more excited for that, but that's further away. I think the fact that it's close makes me so excited for it. And I just think, if they do it properly and if they've taken their time with it and stuff, that could be a genuinely special game.
I could be wrong. I feel like they did say that there wasn't multiplayer, but
I think they did.
I feel like if it was going to come early this year, well, I say this year, 2026, if it's going to be early 2026, we'll hear about it in January. But if it's going to be later in the year, I'm kind of hoping it's maybe that they like delayed it internally to add multiplayer or just something. I really want to see this game have multiplayer. Like what you were saying there, Sammy, about the replayability of it is insane. And I think the massive galaxy map's going to help with that, because you can kind of like pick and choose what missions you go on and stuff. So like every run through will be different, I think. But like you were saying about the whole chess thing, like if I can go into a multiplayer and outsmart someone and win with my droid squad or my clone army, I would love that so much, man. And there's so much potential in terms of like servicing a multiplayer as well, like adding new types of species or I don't know, different like paint types or what, like I don't know, weaponry that you can like buy or progress through and things like that.
Talking about outsmarting people, I know it's a slightly different type of strategy game, but real-time strategy games like Total War and stuff. That's why people enjoy those multiplayers so much, because there's an element of outsmarting the guy you're playing, and you know, and how you approach the match. So
yeah,
I think you're right, but I think they did say there's not a multiplayer mode coming, but I think we can all agree that it would have been pretty awesome had we got it.
Yeah,
I'm personally pretty excited for this story on it. If I'm being honest, I think that's my number one thing for me, is just deliver me a really, really cool story. And I said to Split again when we got up in person last, I really hope, despite us being a Republic squad and on the you know, good guys, I hope we get to make some pretty like challenging and dark decisions, like for the better, like for the betterment of the Republic. You know, whether that be us like, I don't know, we have to take out a Jedi because he might be about to screw up a mission we're doing. Like it's just it's a what do they call it? A necessary evil. Do you know what I mean? Decisions like that I think could be pretty cool. And I don't think that's too unrealistic to maybe expect that kind of thing.
From what we saw in the trailer and what they said, it sounded like this is a band of people who they're on the good side, but they got to do bad things to make things go their way for the betterment. Yeah. So it's I'm down for that too. I would love this game to actually be more of a grey story where we're actually not the good guys. We want the good guys to win, but we're going to do some bad stuff to actually make that happen. I think that sort of story doesn't really get told enough in Star Wars, because in a war like that, there'd be half of the war is the underground
awful
stuff
happening.
See. Yeah. Even we see a bit of that in like Rogue One and in Andor. Like Andor, we see him as the good guy in Rogue One. We see in the show that he does a lot of shit that isn't good necessarily, and all of them do, but it's for the right reasons. And for me, that's an angle that I love, because it's like it's just so Star Wars is very, you know, it is predominantly made for kids, and it's very much like, here's Luke Skywalker, he's the hero, he's going to save everyone. And it's like, I love getting that other side of it where it's like, this guy's good, but he's going to do some bad stuff. Yeah,
it's also
I just think the
wars and the wars are pretty awful.
Yeah,
like
exactly. That's what I mean. I think that Star Wars is often too lighthearted at times, which, to be fair, the movies and stuff, that's fair. But I really want them to link, especially with Andor. Like, I think everyone just watched Andor and was like, this is like, give me more of that sort of stuff. And I just think that this universe is like, the little bits of lore we get in all the other media that doesn't get fleshed out that much. For example, like the bombing of Mandalore, we don't know that much about that, but that's a very dark thing that's happened. And like I want to see that side of Star Wars more often, where it's like, this is a bad, like there are evil people, and to counter evil, sometimes you got to do some bad stuff yourself.
I think we're going to see it. I do think I'm confident we'll see an element of that in that game.
Yeah,
I think so.
Cool. So I don't want to keep going off. I'm not going to rattle off every Star Wars game on the cards, but the last one I want to touch on, I know it's a big one for you, Sammy, and I can see his saber to your left there, Jedi 3. So obviously we know it's in development. We've got little to no information at this time. I believe it's been confirmed it will be the last game in the series.
I think
I'm aware.
I think
alluded to that fact,
when
right?
Stig was still there, he said he sees it as a trilogy. So I'd imagine that they'll stick to that. I can see them making more games, but I think Cal's story will be a trilogy.
Yeah. So given where we've got our current slate of upcoming games, we actually don't have very many big windows, I think. So we've got Galactic Racer and Zero Company this year. If we make an assumption that we might get the KOTOR remake in 27, early 28, if I'm being optimistic. And then we've obviously got FOTOR, which we think is realistically no earlier than 28 or 29. If they're telling us not 2030, it's probably going to be one of those 2 years.
I wonder if he meant 2031 by that. Like he didn't actually, like, to be fair, he said it would be before, but in my head, I'm like, bro, it's he's telling us it's coming sooner. I'm like, no, I don't know if I believe you, Casey. I think it's
delays
happen way off. Yeah.
But where I was going with that is that Jedi 3 is going to be a big Star Wars game. The first two have been phenomenal. I think originally Fallen Order was a bit of a surprise, right? I don't think anybody expected that game to pop off quite as well it did, and then Survivor obviously built off the success of that. So I think Jedi 3 is going to demand a big window of marketing and time to exist on its own. And I don't think they would want to sully that with the KOTOR remake, which is again a heavy hitter, the FOTOR, which is a heavy hitter, and I'm not even mentioning Eclipse again. So all of these games need to somehow sort of squeeze out in the next 4 years. Where do we think Jedi 3 might land? Don't even think about it rationally. What does your heart tell you that game will be on the cards?
I think 2027 is. I think they should just have that as the year for that game and just probably not release anything else. I think release it in May of that year and just give it time. End of 2026. The only thing that will get in the way of that is if GTA gets delayed again, which it probably will, to be fair. Then you're looking at, oh man, are they going to go to May?
What do they do? Yeah.
And then our window. So that's the only issue. But if it was guaranteed that GTA launches November next year, the aftermath of that means that 6 to 7 months later, you've got a big Star Wars game coming out. That's like, I don't see that many games like launching that period. I just think that's I don't know. To me, I just think May roughly in 2027 would be my guess. But I also wouldn't have been surprised if it was next year either, to be honest.
I'm trying not to laugh because Split's doing the stupid 6-7 meme while you're talking.
Oh, what?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'm too old for this shit, man.
So am I. That's why I was trying to.
So am I, but it's just I couldn't help myself.
Did I say 6-7?
No,
but
you went
6 to 7 months.
Yeah.
Flip it, boys. No. The thing is, I completely agree with Sammy. I think May 2027 is like prime launch because that's like 4 years after Survivor, which is plenty of time to then build out that game. I mean, Survivor was 3.5 years after Fallen Order, so it seems very plausible that 4 years after the release of Survivor would be a good time. I think we could then see another game towards the end of 27 because you would have had like the first 5 months of the year to propel Jedi 3 forward and then release. But it's a single player game, like it's not really going to do much afterwards, is it? Like, let's be real. So at that point, you're more than fine to then go and release a game in October, November time. The hype of Jedi 3 would have easily fallen at that point. I doubt they'd update it or anything. It's not like there's going to be a multiplayer element to it. I wouldn't have thought. So
imagine they pull a big surprise.
Like fighting PvP.
Customize Jedi and
imagine. I don't think they would do that, but I think that's it though. It's just like 2027. We could be getting post-launch content for Galactic Racer. If Zero Company ends up getting a multiplayer as well, then maybe we get some little bits of that. Unlikely though for now. And then we get Jedi Survivor, and then we maybe get KOTOR or Eclipse, depending on what's ready first. But
that would be a great year if we got May we got Jedi 3, and then we get the KOTOR remake in November. That's
this is the thing, right? Like, the next 2 years genuinely could be insane. Like if there's no delays, we get Galactic Racer and Zero Company next year, and then we get Jedi 3, KOTOR or Eclipse, and then the year after we get KOTOR or Eclipse, and then whatever else. Like there's probably so many other games in development that we actually don't know about right now that are potentially close to releasing. We had no idea about Galactic Racer until and that's been in development since 2023 when the studio was formed. So there's a lot on the cards, and we could be in a very good position as Star Wars gamers for the next few years, which is
again, it's just Star Wars lends itself, like I said earlier, just to so many different elements of gameplay. And you're right. I do truly wonder if, particularly, I know we all want it like a competitive PvP game, if that is somewhere cooking in the shadows, and whether that be the unlikely Battlefront 3 or something else. Because it feels like we've got so much, but that, which is arguably the biggest genre of game out there, is missing. And being Star Wars and the history we've got with shooters in the genre, you would in the franchise, you'd be surprised for one to not be somewhere in someone's brain as an idea.
I definitely think it's been at the very least discussed among many studios about even just the resurgence last year. I think people saw that and went, okay,
you can't ignore that.
People want this. And I think you even said it the other day, Mark, that like people who used to work at DICE on Battlefront or at a different game, ex Respawn devs who worked on Fallen Order or whatever, they go and form their own studios. And I just have a feeling that there'd be someone out there that's like, we need to make a multiplayer shooter.
Yeah,
that's it's obviously not going to be Battlefront, but just something, anything multiplayer shooter.
I was just about to say that, like, let's just take a look at. So I was talking about this at work, actually. It's like Galactic Racer is former Criterion developers, so they've clearly worked on Star Wars Battlefront 2, Need for Speed, all these other things, and thought, okay, well, we want to make a Star Wars racing game. Clearly someone at EA said no, so they were like, sod it, we're going to go make our own studio and do this. Casey Hudson's gone and created his own studio again to make a Star Wars game. A bunch of that, like the final reveal, High Guard, is it? Everyone's really unhappy about it, but that's former Respawn developers going to work on something. It's like that's the most
disappointing part about that is like Respawn don't know. I'm like, what is that game?
I got excited when they said it's Titanfall devs. I was like, oh, dude, Titanfall Apex Legends, this is about to bang, and then that came on my screen, and I was just like,
but to try and derail it too much, but that's very much the thing with all the layoffs that have been happening over the last few years in the games industry, and with the constant resurgences of Battlefront, the very clear demand for it. There is no way there's not a development studio out there right now working on a multiplayer Star Wars like shooter game, whether it's Battlefront by name or Battlefront by blood. Like, it's definitely happening somewhere. I genuinely believe that, and Galactic Racer's announcement is proof enough for me that someone out there is doing it. Whether it's only been happening for a couple of months, whether it's 2 years down the line, like, I don't know, but I have faith.
I even just think that even if it hasn't begun production, I think that someone out there, similar to how Casey Hudson's, obviously he would have been thinking about this for years with FOTOR. I think some big, game director somewhere who's maybe stopped working at a company and he's just like having a year off or whatever, that someone's thinking, there's a void in that market that I can take control of. And the thing that the amount of games that they've announced, right, as much as Galactic Racer looks cool, it's a pretty niche little game. I don't see it selling like 10 plus million copies. The thing with making a multiplayer shooter is you're way more guaranteed to actually have a lot of success with that. I think that it's great. That's why I'm so like baffled that we haven't had anything yet, because it's realistically, shooters are like the biggest genre in gaming, and
easily.
I don't know how that hasn't come about yet. And that's, like you said, that's why I'm not like as stressed about it, because I do genuinely believe someone is either, like you said, already making it, or there have been discussions last year that with that resurgence and all that this year, that something needs to happen, and someone even is just out there trying to get the finances to build the studio or something. Like, they've got the idea for it, and maybe they've taken it to Lucasfilm Games and they've said, like, if you can get the studio up and running, we'll greenlight that game or whatever. Like, something will be out there, because there's no way that in like 10 years we're just sitting here still like, oh man, I want to multiplayer shooter. Like, there's no way that happens. And if it does, they all need to rethink their career path, because they don't know.
Go home and rethink your life.
Exactly that. So to try and wrap up the episode then, because I'm conscious of taking up a decent chunk of your guys' time, which I'm incredibly thankful for. You cannot say Battlefront 3. It cannot be your answer to this question. Okay. What would and I'll give you mine first. What would be your dream Star Wars multiplayer shooter? You can't say Battlefront 3. So for me, I basically want Halo, but Star Wars. So I think that would be big Halo guy. That sort of like a 4v4 arena with like dedicated loadouts, level playing field, longer TTK, that sort of stuff. For me, I would be. You wouldn't see me again. Bye. And I'll let you, between yourselves, you can decide who goes first. Yeah.
Well, personally, I'd really like to see Battlefield, but Star Wars.
You can't do that either. You can't do that.
Okay.
That's such a good question, because in my head it's just been Battlefront. I've never actually considered what would be the next thing. Yeah.
I have two, if I'm allowed.
Go ahead. Yeah, sure.
Rainbow Six Siege, but Star Wars. So it could be like Clone Wars era. I showed you this video idea, like Sammy, years ago with like Twisted and Nivo. But it's essentially like Republic Commandos versus like Separatist Commandos and like IG assassin droids and stuff like that. You're going into gritty war zones and you're extracting like high profile hostages. Could be senators, could be like, I don't know, a Jedi's been taken captive, whatever. Again, bombs, diffusal and stuff like that. So that's one thing. I would love to see that.
That would be sick.
Number two, Helldivers, but Star Wars.
Yeah, dude.
Again, like, but I don't know, maybe this time it could be Clone Wars again, or it could be, I don't know, yeah, maybe Clone Wars. Like, you are special forces clone troopers that get dropped into the heart of separatist territory. So you've just got like B1 battle droids, droidicas, B2s, AATs, like MTTs, just all chasing you, like following you, and like you've got to destroy separatist encampments in this area. A little bit, this is niche. Lego Star Wars 3, the Clone Wars, like they had those big battle scenes where it's like these big domes of like basically that, but it's like Helldivers 2, but Star Wars.
With that level of chaos as well. Yeah.
With that level of chaos, I just think that would be insane. Like heart of separatist territory. Or you could be a rebel dropper, Cara Dune, and you get dropped into Imperial territory and you do the same thing. They're my two pitches.
Yeah. I think
if anybody's listening, then lock in.
Yeah.
Sammy, go on. I can see the conflict in you not being able to say Battlefront 3 here. But what are you cooking?
I think a game, and maybe there's recency bias here, but I think a game like Arc Raiders in Star Wars would be phenomenal. When you think of like the beginning of The Force Awakens and we see Rey like scavenging and stuff, trying to do that situation where, because it's pretty similar in Arc Raiders, it's like there's the arcs have come and kind of like ruined the earth, and these people live underground and they go up for runs and they go and try and get stuff to bring it back down and survive. Doing something like that in Star Wars, I think, would be so much fun, having like essentially like a survival aspect to it. The way, I don't know what it is about Arc Raiders, but there's something genuinely special about that game that I don't know what it is. I think it's more so to do with actually like the aesthetic and the way that Embark make their games. I've said it for a while now. Like, I want Embark to make any Star Wars game. If I could pick any studio on this planet to make a Star Wars game, it's Embark Studios. I think that they are built different over there. And I just think, I don't know, it wouldn't need to be quite as like, I think the reason I pick Arc Raiders instead of something like Tarkov's very like hardcore. Like it's like you got to be sweating.
I tried it. It won't for me.
Yeah, same. But with Arc Raiders, it's a bit more friendly. It's like, I feel like people are a bit more forgiving in it. I've had runs where I go out and I'll literally like talk to someone and say, "Hey man, I've got no ammo. Like, I'm not going to kill you. I'm just trying to escape. I've got some good loot. Let me go. And he's like, yeah, let's go to the extraction together. I think that in Star Wars, oh man, that'd be just so much fun. And then you're fighting against, it's like two humans and you're fighting against some sort of like different alien species or droids or whatever. I think that would be so good.
Yeah, I think that'd be so cool. Like if you actually take that scavenger route to it, because we don't like see like scavengers in gaming in Star Wars isn't really a thing. So being able to take that angle for it, that would actually be really sick.
And you could do it in any setting, really. Like you could do it in the Clone Wars where it's people are doing it tough and you're in a war-torn part of the galaxy and you have to go up to the surface, and maybe it's not even just like there is just droids there. Maybe there's an actual war going on with like you go up to the surface and it's literally the clones versus the droids, and you're kind of like in the middle of a battle and you're like, I don't want to get killed here. I'm just trying to get some like equipment from this downed droid gunship, and but there's droids nearby, and then if they start shooting at you, then the clones come, and obviously the clones are going to be good, but then you might get caught in the crossfire. Like I think that would be a cool little angle in it that I don't know if many games have ever done it that way, where you go into a sort of an extraction zone, but there's like actually two factions that are warring and you're just in the middle of it don't want to get involved. I think usually it's like, say in Arc Raiders, it's like the Arcs are defending the area and there's no counter to them. It's just you versus them. I think that'd be a cool take on it that I think a lot of people in that niche would probably enjoy too.
The most mental thing about everything all of us have just said is that Star Wars could do all of it. It's that special.
Yeah.
All of those things would work. None of that would feel out of place in the Star Wars universe, which I think is, again, just something so special. And I know as Star Wars gamers, we go through like long periods of drought where we suffer and we're begging for things. But I do think ultimately we're set for a pretty good future right now. I think we agree that maybe just if they give us some sort of multiplayer shooter or competitive element to it, then we'd all be set with everything else we've got going on. So I think bright future. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty excited by following the Game Awards. I feel pretty renewed in my excitement for not only games, but a franchise in general as well, to be honest.
Yeah. I think the next few years are going to be pretty insane. I mean, like this year, 2026 for Star Wars, like Galactic Racer, Zero Company, Maul Shadow Lord, Ahsoka Season 2, Mando Grogu film. Like we've got a pretty stacked year. 27.
That's 5 big things coming out in 12 months. That's nearly every 2 months we're getting something pretty much. Like that's pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot to be excited for, I think, for the future of the franchise. Definitely. I mean, I said before we started recording this, I made a video like day or two before the Game Awards, basically saying that the state of Star Wars games is in disarray. Like we're in such a drought, and then all of a sudden these 2 announcements happen. And
I take that back.
Pretty much. I was like, oh, okay. I regret what I said. No, I mean I don't. I stand by it.
You weren't wrong. You weren't wrong.
Yeah. But now we have a multiplayer game on the horizon, and as a Star Wars gaming content creator, I just need Star Wars multiplayer to like really be able to knuckle down and have that real sense of purpose again. So very, very excited for the future.
Well, look, I hope that as we work through those elements and things go on in the future, you guys would be happy to come back in the future and join me to discuss those things as they develop. And then obviously I do want to open this up to additional guests in the future. So this could turn into larger conversations. I'd be really quite excited to build a platform out of this and enjoy some really deep chats. So thank you guys for both joining me today. It's been a genuine pleasure.
Appreciate it.
As always. And Sammy, this is actually it's our first time ever actually chatting.
Yeah, I just thought that like halfway through, I'm like, I was like, I feel like I know you so well because I've watched so many videos, and then we speak. Like our group chat is borderline every day. We're talking in there. I realized halfway through, I'm like, oh, this is actually our first time actually talking.
That's crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't think that before because I assumed we had maybe played together as a group or something in Hunters. But yeah, literally like, I don't know, half an hour ago, I'm like, oh, damn, this is our first time.
It's very strange, as you say, because I've heard your voice a million times, and I guess even vice versa for you, but never actually live. So yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
But I don't know about you guys, but it always feels pretty natural when we're chopping it up, and genuinely enjoy it. So looking forward to potentially doing this in the future. So what I'll do is I'll be sure to drop you guys links down in the description below. So anybody who watches this can head over to your channels and check you out. Thank you, Split. Thank you, Sammy. I've been Parallel. This has been episode 2 of the podcast, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.